Hello everybody, welcome to Healing After Abuse. Well, healing after abuse can be fraught with danger in terms of putting on weight or having eating problems. There's something about the abuse that it kind of shuts you down. So either can't swallow it or you just have to eat to swallow it down, to keep it down. So if you've got weight problems or issues with eating, I would say it's from the abuse. I noticed when I checked back at people who I knew, some people I'd known in our social setting, the abuse came out at a certain age. The girls, in this case, said that it had happened. Maybe by then they were 18 or 19, but I think it happened at 13. And then when I look back at the pictures, I could see one girl in particular who at that age of 13 was fine weight. And when she just started to just put on weight and put on weight and put on weight, and once it came out, she just put on even more weight. You have to understand what the weight is. The weight is your protection. You might have even put it on while you were living with your abuser too. Maybe when you started with this person, you were a certain weight and you just sort of got more and more weight on you. And it's like a protection you put, like a little pretend suit to stop the abuse hitting you as much. And also it's a place you go for solace. So eating's self-soothing, isn't it? When you eat, you kind of feel better, and then afterwards you don't feel so good, perhaps because you ate too much or you ate the wrong food. But at the time, it soothes you. It's like medicating yourself in a sense. As you start to work more on releasing your abuse, I think the weight will fall off. It'll start coming off because you don't need the protection. You faced it, you know what's happened, and now you're going to let go of all those emotions and do some work on yourself and get better, and the weight will come down. And the other way of looking at it too is that you were trying to swallow it down, you were trying to eat it down, because it was obviously coming up to the surface and you were like pushing it down with food. You just sort of eat your way through abuse, actually. It's sometimes the only thing you can really do. I want you not to be hard on yourself. I want you to realise that you're not lazy and you're not a pig and you're not greedy. You're just kind of ill, emotionally ill from the abuse, and there's been a lot of damage. Other people do different things. They take drugs. Some people smoke it down. Some people gamble it down. Everyone's got their way of when they go to places that will work for them to make you feel a bit better. You will lose weight if you start dealing with your abuse, in terms of the fact that you'll also start to nurture yourself. Because it's particularly if you've been bashed and battered around a bit with abuse, your body isn't used to being looked after. It's sort of like you're detached from your body. You'll get this detachment from your body. And then sometimes later, or even during it, you don't nurture yourself. You know what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to eat, your 5 vegetables and your 2 fruits and your cereals and your protein and not too much fat, not too much sugar. We all know it. We don't need to go to a dietitian. We know it. If we don't know it, we can find out on the internet. We just can't do it. And the reason we can't do it is there's a part of us that's not nurturing ourselves and not loving ourselves and not being a good parent to ourselves. Because particularly if you've had people who've been mean-spirited and cruel to you, it almost goes into you and you do the same thing for yourself. And there is some self-loathing and self-hating when you've been abused. That will be in your psyche, and you need to get rid of that. You need to let go of all that and learn to love yourself. And love yourself just as you are now. For example, don't buy clothes that are too small when you can't wear them. Buy clothes that fit you now and you put them on and you feel beautiful. The reason you couldn't lose the weight before was because you were like paralysed in fear, and also all the horror and terror and really disappointment and hurt, etc., etc., that came from abuse. But now you're facing it and letting those things go, you won't need it. You won't need that food to push it down because it's all coming out anyhow. You might have been bulimic as well, or you might have been anorexic. They often come with abuse. It's a way to get some kind of control over your life where you feel on a deep level like you're out of control. And it's also not nurturing yourself. And once you start to look after yourself, you will still be able to eat your junk food and your rubbish, but what you'll do is you'll eat 80% good food and then 20% rubbish. It'll actually reverse. You'll want to sort of fuel yourself up with really good things. It's no good berating yourself. It's no good hating yourself. This isn't going to help you, and it's no good hating your body. Your body got you this far. You didn't check out. You're still here. So now it's time to fix that part of your life up. And fixing up, nurturing yourself is really powerful. Once you decide you're going to beat the abuse and you're going to become a survivor, you can't remain a victim and just fill yourself up with rubbish and not care about your body in that way. And there's also health risks that come with being too fat and or being bulimic or anorexic. You need to love yourself. You need to take care of yourself. This is the way you win. This is the way you beat the abuse, not by capitulating to it. And having said that, though, you will have times when you're doing this and then you'll fall in a hole and you have your big dark day and you eat like an idiot for 24 hours. And then you go, okay, so what's all that about? What is that triggered? And you'll usually find the trigger, go and do some work around it and then get back on what you were doing. I'm proud of you if you're listening to these podcasts because I know how hard it is and I know how difficult it is and how lonely the path is. And not many people you can talk to, and that's why I'm talking to you because I'm your friend on the internet who got abused quite severely, and I understand. And then you just have some privacy too with these podcasts, I think. But the weight thing's a big thing. You can also think about going to hypnotherapy if you want to, acupuncture to support your process, because that can actually sometimes help. And I actually think giving it over to someone else for a while, like even going on one of those meal things where they all come to your house just for a while until you sort of get yourself a bit stabilised and can do it yourself is a good plan. But I don't want you to really diet. I just want you to think about nurturing yourself and eating well. You need juices and vegetables and fruits and all the good things of life. You need to have these things in your life to fuel your body. I would also take a multivitamin powder and or a multivitamin tablet every day to supplement me, because if you've been eating a lot of crap, you probably didn't get a lot of vitamins and minerals through those foods. They're usually quite deficient. And I don't want you to give them up completely. Do not go cold turkey. Do not do those fasts. You know, these fasts lately, they do those. Do not do that. You're trying to get yourself to like live a normal life now, and that's not a really normal way to live. Humans don't actually live like that. We tend to be more grazers in the day, and we eat so many meals a day, we graze a bit. Therefore, you don't want to do that, please. I think you're better off just starting to eat properly. The other thing to consider is to eat foods that fill you up, and quite literally. If you're going to have something that's even a good food for you, but it's a little on the empty side, help yourself fill yourself up. If you're going to have like a smoothie, put an egg in it or put some protein powder in it. You need to actually not feel physically hungry too. And that's why I'm suggesting that, you know, you make vegetable soups and have that before your main meal. You need to fill up yourself so you are less prone to fall over and go and eat like 6 donuts or something or a tub of ice cream. Eat as much as you taste. I remember one of my sons said to me that you only really taste the first 3 mouthfuls. That's what they found out. I thought, oh, this is interesting. So I sort of would eat now and then have my piece of cake. And then by the time I got to the 3rd or 4th, I wasn't really savouring it as much as I thought I would. So I used to just have half a piece because the actual pleasure of it was pretty much gone by the 3rd. I got used to it. And I thought it was a really interesting way to think about it. And also just to have smaller portions. Try just to have a smaller portion, but make sure you're still eating enough to be full. That's what I'm trying to say to you. You need to fill up. You can do this. It's not really about losing the weight. It's about losing your protection that you've put up, your barriers, your walls. And it's about looking after yourself and now feeding yourself like a machine, you know. If you want your car to run, you can't put crappy oil and petrol in it. It won't run. It's the same as us. We need good food to help us to function well and also to be good role models for our kids if we have children. You can do it. I really believe you can do it if you change your focus. And the other thing I want you to do is like a meditation where you sit and you just see it's kind of will look like a big heavy suit that you're wearing, which is the fat, right? And you see that and you just release that in your mind and just let it go. So you see it like going off from your body, like energy going off, and then you go back and do it again and do it again. And I think when you use your imagination, when you first start, it might be really big and black and very thick and, you know, huge. And every time you do it, it'll feel a little smaller and it'll feel a little bit more grey. And you just keep doing that until when you go and do your little 5-minute weight thing, you go to let it go. You're like, oh, this is smaller and this is not so big. Because what you're doing is you're filling up that, with fat and with eating and with all those emotions, and you'll let that go. It's a really good meditation. I was told how to do that by someone. I started to do it because I'd always struggled with my weight. And honestly, it did work. I started just organically not eat as much rubbish and started to look after myself, and I actually got smaller, which is more pleasing for me because I was always plagued with having extra weight on me. Not a huge amount, but just enough to make you feel like you're in the wrong area of the weight part and not the good area of the weight part. You can do it, but you have to let go of all these things. And I think that anger and hurt tend to hold on, and they hold on the weight. And they're two good emotions, and fear, to let go of those three, I would say they're the biggest ones. Don't berate yourself, all right? Be nice to yourself now and take care of yourself. And know this is just one of the areas that abuse will affect. And if you're walking around the shop, sometimes I've seen really, really, really big people, and I've looked at them and I just see their little child sort of in their face, and I think, oh, wow, you are so suffering. I never see it as a judgment. I just look at them and think, oh my God, you're really suffering, trying to soothe yourself with all this food, but it's still there. And you might start to see that in other people as well as yourself. Wishing you well with it all, and I'm hoping that you can sort of get rid of your abuse damage, and then your weight will start falling off. And if you have anorexia or bulimia, then maybe that will become more manageable and you'll start really taking care of yourself and loving yourself. I think when we feel that we're unloved, somehow it affects us and we don't feel we're worth being loved, which is ridiculous, but that's what abuse can do to you. So I'm sending you lots of love and lots of light.